Call the August 5th, 2024 meeting to order and do roll call. Commissioners,
Present.
Commissioner Burgess, he's out. Commissioner Manzel.
He's
So
not
like
in
to turn
yet.
us out there. Commissioner Perez. Here. And Commissioner Trainer.
Present.
Okay, I'd like to announce now that the board will adjourn and go into an executive session.
We can do that after,
Okay.
that way that we can release everybody else.
Okay,
Well, you know what, let's go into it, let's do it like it was on the agenda, let's go into an executive session.
okay. Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session for about 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes to be
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
And so it's 12:04 now, so we'll reconvene at 12:34.
And the topics are,
And it's, okay, so to evaluate complaints or charges filed against a public officer or employee. That's the reason why.
I think there was one more.
What's that?
am I?
Review the performance.
Yeah, the performance of a public employee.
Oh, I'm sorry for it.
No, that's okay,
That's okay,
but we're gonna review the performance.
Yeah.
Of a public.
Perfect.
Employee. So. We're now going to executive session.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are coming out of executive session at 12:35 to extend for a period of 10 minutes, taking us to 12:45. Okay, so it is officially 12:47. We're reconvening from public session. There was no decision coming out of the executive session, so looking for a vote. So next on the agenda is public comment. And I'm not sure if we have any public comment lined up. No. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the agenda to communications. Are there any communications? Hearing none, we'll go to the executive director's report and Mary Swenson will provide it.
I don't have a whole lot to report right now, other than we had the town hall meeting, that went really well. We updated all the departments about, everything that's going on. It was in person, which was nice to see everybody, so that gave us opportunity to, not only for me and to interact with them, with the employees, but also the employees to interact with each other, which is always really good. And on that note, we're seeing a lot more work groups that are happening interdepartmentally. With more people back in the office, so all in all, things are going well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
She shook in.
So, you had talked about, looking at how it was going with the office being open one day a week. Do you have any way to?
Yes, we are looking, we're looking at upping that to 3 days a week. Yeah, and so, we talked a little bit about that at the town hall meeting, and we talked a little bit about getting more people back into the office and how that's happening. Yeah, workspace, because we have, if everybody comes back at once, there's not a place for everybody to sit, so I think we're coming to a happy medium, and getting all those details worked out, so, yeah.
And the topics of how many days and when to start opening up and was accepted, how?
Great, I mean, that we've had the 1 day opening and it's gone well, and. I think it's been good, it's been good for me to see the interaction of the folks that need our help. And our employees are doing a bang up job working with them. That has been very impressive to me, some of the employees that work with these folks on a regular basis and how kind and compassionate they are and try to help them out. There always is challenges with some people that have mental health issues. And trying to understand those issues and calm those folks down, but all in all, it's been good.
questions from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. So we are looking specifically at the regular meeting held July 1st, 2024, and the special meeting held July 31st, 2024. Hopefully it's appropriate to have them approved at the same time. So at this point, I'd like to call for a motion to approve those minutes.
I will move for approval.
second,
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I only heard one voting voice for approvals.
aye,
Aye. Not told me all of it.
No, I don't think he did. John? He might have had to send it right up, right?
He has,
Sorry, I was
his- oh,
having
he
a-
has,
Communication
Sure.
issues here on my computer. Sorry about that.
No worries. Just wondered if you approve of the motion to approve the regular meeting and the special meeting minutes.
I vote aye. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Perfect. So meeting minutes approved. Next, the consent agenda. Including section 8 payments for the month of June 2024 and a summary of vouchers for the month of 2024 of June or June of 2024. So we just need to call for a single motion to adopt the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I would bring that motion.
Do I have a second?
second,
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Okay, and opposed, no. So the consent agenda is approved. Next, we have individual items items for individual consideration, which is resolution number 1596, demolition and site stabilization activities at Baker Heights. And Jason Morrow will introduce.
Good afternoon, commissioners. How are you? So resolution 1596 is for the authorization for the executive director to carry out actions related to demolition and site stabilization activities at Baker Heights. Few precedent pieces of information. In prior resolution 1541, which occurred May 23rd, 2022, we approved pre-development and we also approved demolition activities at that time. We wanted to bring this back to all of you because the costs have changed since the budget information at that time, and also felt that it was useful just to bring it back to the group. It flows with more time proximity to the actual action itself. So with the approval of the plan development overlay at the council most recently on July 12th, we're now in a position to move forward with these activities. And so what we've done here is provided a resolution that would give the executive director and or assignees the authority to execute any and all actions related to the project management, administration, contract execution, financing, legal execution, and the like related to those activities. There's two sections which in the resolution that outline that, but fundamentally they aim to cover all of the duties for which we would administrate and execute this work, as well as execute the financing and any of the legal transactional information and documentation that's required to make that happen. And so as relates to the demolition itself, we're looking at more or less about a 6-month process. We are talking about the abatement, demolition, and stabilization of the property over roughly a 6-month period. What we would expect to see following the demolition is more or less height receded lawn for the totality of the area. We're also decommissioning the telecommunications, so Ziply, Comcast, and some of Snowbud's utilities. So we're in a position throughout the property both to have a safe environment for which the community can use that public resource during the periods in which there isn't construction, and at the same time preparing for the next phase, which we're calling PD2, following Madrona Square, which right now we've anticipated to have a construction start in approximately Q3 of 2025. Alongside that, probably a couple of important pieces of information I think it's important to note. And we've discussed this before, but we have had a significant amount of safety, vandalism, and other issues around site. We have pretty constant interaction with Everett PD and others as relates to activity. We had some additional break-ins recently in the last couple of weeks. A lot of this vandalism is pursuing copper and some other metals, which creates flooding and a lot of other issues, as well as the maintenance costs to repair and cap those. And so while there are a lot of costs related to the demolition, I think it's also very important to note, just as a kind of public safety feature and a means to move forward in the narrative from, in essence, obsolescent public housing towards the new narrative of a park district. We have communicated for a long time and still feel it's very important to kind of make this transition, both for our own purposes. I think we spend roughly, call it $300,000 a year of maintenance upkeep on this property as it is. We will still have maintenance responsibilities for the properties itself and the maintenance, but we will no longer have any buildings there for which are a portal for a lot of poor behavior, as well as just general risks in terms of flooding and some other things. And so we're working to move this forward. We do have some things that we still need to take care of before we can start demolition. So I think in terms of a target date, we're probably talking about October, but there's going to be a 1 or 2 month window in terms of trying to get the precise actual target date start. We're finishing up the final plans and specs that will happen in a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, most likely. The general contractor, WG Clark, who's been on board for quite some time.
October of this year?
Yes, October of this year. Thank you for that clarification. And then we'll be issuing, or WG Clark will be issuing bid packages. They'll send them out to bid to contractors. There will be a bid opening. There then will be a low bid decision based on GCCM and regulatory criteria. We will award the contract will be awarded by the general contractor to the trade, and then we'll move forward, sign the contract, and then we'll initiate. So we have a bit of work to do between now and then. We have some coordination that we need to do with the regulatory authorities to make sure we're ready to move forward. But we're moving in the right direction, and we think October is a fairly decent target date. And then following up on that, the total amount, as I mentioned before, is $88.5 million in terms of total budget cap. We do expect it to be a little bit lower than that, but we do have for demolition, but also the entirety of the work. So if you look at the memo that was issued in the package, there's a wide variety of task items that are within that budget: hazardous abatement, demolition, temporary erosion and sediment control, site and utility demolition, and go down the list. There's a wide cost structures, which total $8.5 million, but you will know there's other cost contingency of about $750,000 there in just contingency money. So we feel comfortable that it won't exceed $8.5 million once we're all said and done. And then the big question with that is how we're going to pay for that. So there's really a couple methods. The first part is what money are we going to use to pay for this? We intend to use the letter of credit, line of credit with KeyBank that we already have opened to use to take care of this current. And then the other issue is how are we going to repay those proceeds? We have a few different options for which the executive director will ultimately have authority, and we'll discuss with you at a later time the specifics relating to them. One of them would be to roll those proceeds into the next phase, similar we've done in the past. So we'd roll that financing into the PD2 financing package as we initiate construction. Otherwise, we may use other sources across the agency to repay those funds or issue other bond issuance or housing note issuance at the time to take care of that. With that, I think I've covered most of it, but if anyone feels there's anything that I have not more fully explained, please let me know, and I'd love to clarify.
Jason, I have a curiosity, just plain curiosity. Are we having any trouble at Baker with squatters?
Not currently that I know of. We have had. So there have been squatters in the past. We've had to take a variety of measures to try to reduce that. At some point, we increased security patrols. We were paying Everett PD to do increased security patrols around that property to try to reduce those type of incursions. Turned off electricity to try to keep people out so they couldn't warm up those spaces and use those during winter periods. So the quick answer is yes. Do we currently have them? I don't believe so. But we do have fairly recurrent vandalism, which is happening on more or less a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
I am always concerned that whenever I hear of excuse me, trees being destroyed, that people are still in the building. That always,
Yeah,
I always worry about that.
I do too. And I actually have history of doing a demolition and having to move someone out of the property almost immediately at the time that it was going to be demolished. Yeah, they were napping. Sleeping in there. So we will, as a method of practice and as best practice, that they will walk through all the building structures before any kind of demolition activity taking place to make sure there's no safety issues and to make sure if there are any squatters and anyone in there, that they don't have life or harm exposed to those activities. And we will fence the property and we will have video camera control and some other security measures.
Texas people out there. When they get desperate, they get in there somehow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a couple other points. The finance committee will also get a briefing on exactly how we plan on funding this as we move forward. And then also we've reached out to Everett PD and Everett Fire to see if they want to use this as training. To do entry training for the police department. I believe they're interested in doing that.
We're in discussions with them right now. So we will be coordinating that activity. It will be occurring, and then the fire is the same. We have some coordination to do with them to see the extent and scope of the work that they want.
Yeah, this is an opportunity that they don't get very often.
That's
So
a good place.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. No other comments from commissioners, I'm assuming? Okay, I'm not hearing any, and I know we have to reapprove this because it's a new resolution, you were correct.
Correct.
Okay. So at this point in time, I'd like a motion to vote on resolution number 1596, demolition and site stabilization activities for Vicar Heights.
I would
Move to
move through. Go ahead, I'll second.
There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any against? So, resolution passes. At this point, we get to adjourn the meeting. The next regular scheduled meeting is Monday, August 26th, 2024. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna let nobody to. So, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks,